Rupert Thorn is a bit of a tool. Seems like Candace is the real brains of the operation. Why isn't she running things?
The patriarchy.
Come on, Crane. If you don't know, you don't need to make up words to make yourself sound smart.
Welcome back to another episode of Batman the Animated Recap. Last time we covered Two-Face Part 1, featuring the origin of the titled villain. This time we're recapping the second episode of the two-part story to see how Harvey Dent settles into his new life as a criminal. Season 1, Episode 11 of Batman the Animated Series, Two-Face Part 2. We open on what is to be the first of many appearances of the number 2 throughout the episode.
Yes, real subtle. Why not just hit the audience over the head with a crowbar while you're at it?
Two-Face pulls up out front in some fancy new digs and with a pair of thugs that are literal twins. Now, they don't establish how long it's been since Part 1 just yet, but what changes this? I mean, I suppose he'd have access to all of Dent's money to get custom-made suits and the like, since he wasn't actually a criminal at the end of Part 1, but, if that were the case, you think Batman would have tracked him down by now just following, I don't know, any of Dent's credit card charges?
Oh, you'd think that, but old Bats is going to be just as useless here as he was in the previous episode.
It's established that Two-Face is out front of a business belonging to his nemesis, Rupert Thorn. He flips a coin to decide whether to rob the place or leave it alone. This is also the first time we see his two-headed coin with one normal side and the other side scratched up to represent what Two-Face calls good heads and bad heads.
Yes, it's good to learn at a young age the difference between good head and bad head.
Heads.
I know what I said.
Two-Face and his goons rob the place, but when one of the twins tries to take some jewelry from a customer, Two-Face says it wasn't part of the plan and flips for it, resulting in...
Good side. Leave it.
Now, I mentioned in the last episode how at the hospital Harvey's hand was still normal. This is the first time we see it disfigured similarly to his face.
Perhaps his new personality is just so obsessed with dichotomy that he burned his own hand to match his face. Or, the animators just messed up.
We cut to Rupert Thorn learning of the robbery, and it's established that it's been 6 months since the last episode. And in that time, Harvey has become a full-on criminal, robbing Thorn repeatedly. Thorn has had enough and puts out a contract for $2 million to the man who can bring him Two-Face. Now, this would have been a fun opportunity to bring in some other members of Batman's rogues gallery trying to hunt down Two-Face and collect the bounty, but alas, we don't get that.
Well, that's because most of us named villains aren't exclusively motivated by money.
Yes, there needs to be some element of fun involved. Plus, I'm always just way too busy plotting ways to almost kill Batsy. I'll pretty much do anything for money, but would they call me?
I mean, you have been known to kill the people that hire you, so they probably see you as a psychopath with the strength of 10 men.
Why, that might just be the nicest thing you've ever said about me. You may live.
Thank you? I think? Anyway, we cut to Batman having a nightmare where he's unable to save Harvey from becoming Two-Face.
Why couldn't you save me? Why couldn't you save us, son?
Oh, do you smell all that fear? Delicious.
While Bruce makes a vow to save Harvey from what he's become, we cut to Grace crying over a picture of her former fiancé when Candace shows up in her Bruce Wayne cosplay, pretending to be a police officer. She tells Grace that Thorn is looking for Harvey and that it's important that the police find him first to protect him. She gives Grace a beeper to alert them if Harvey tries to contact her. Afterwards, one of the goons asks Candace why she thinks Dent will come back to Grace, and she says,
"He'll come back. They always come back."
Almost as if on cue, we see Two-Face drive by Grace's place with a somber look in his eyes. We then cut to his hideout, where he's dividing up the take from the latest robbery. We learn 2 things here. 1, Two-Face is very abusive to his cohorts.
Ow! You don't touch anything until I tell you to, punk.
And 2, he must have gotten the twins to work for him by getting them out of jail somehow, and I doubt it was legally. While Two-Face stuffs some cash into his wallet, he sees a picture of Grace, but I'd like to focus on the other item in his billfold. He has a credit card. Not Harvey Dent. Two-Face has a credit card with the name Two-Face on it. And suddenly this scene doesn't seem so dumb.
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
What Gotham bank is issuing credit cards to vigilantes and criminals?
Well, have you seen the annual percentage rates on those cards? Those banks are the real criminals.
The twins ask Two-Face why he doesn't visit Grace if he misses her. He flips for it, resulting in him dismissing the notion altogether. He claims they have more important business, which means destroying Rupert Thorn. When one of the twins asks if they're going to bump him off, Two-Face says,
Let's just say I'm gonna do to him exactly what he did to me.
Back at the Batcave, Batman and Alfred are reviewing all the places Two-Face has robbed, which includes Club 22, Gemini Jewelers, and the Two's Company Cafe. Alfred suggests they notify the Second National Bank, but Bruce shuts that down, citing that it isn't owned by Rupert Thorn. Wait. So, Thorn owns a bunch of businesses that feature 2 in the name, and at least one which was located at a 222 address? What next? Well, you're going to tell me that, I don't know, Thorn's attorney has some dumb reference to the number 2 in his name as well?
Do you want to tell him?
Look, I know it's strange hearing me say this, but he seems awfully agitated, and I'm afraid to.
I'll tell him.
Tell me what?
Well, you're not going to like it, but we all prefer the nipples on the batsuit.
What? No, not that, you idiot. Never mind. Just watch this.
Attorney E. Doubleday? Really? If Two-Face starts making 2-based puns, I'm out.
Note to self, host has a fear of puns.
At the attorney's office, Two-Face finds a damning file on Thorn that he intends to use to destroy the man, similarly to what Thorn was intending for him. Batman arrives to stop him, using Grace's name as a way to halt Two-Face's assault.
What about Grace? Grace?
I guess DC knew the power of a name before even Batman v Superman, eh?
Grace?
Why did you say that name?
During their exchange, we get some really powerful images where Two-Face turns his head in a way where we only see Harvey when they're discussing Grace. It seems like Batman is just about to get through to him when one of the twins arrives, ruining everything. While Two-Face escapes, he manages to knock Batman into a cleaning cart, which injures the Caped Crusader well more than one would expect. Batman did manage to tear off a pocket from Two-Face's coat, which had a matchbook inside, which must be the only possible clue that will lead Batman to Two-Face's hidden lair. Really? He's hiding at a business called the Wild Deuce? Batman already figured out he's been robbing places with 2 in the title and didn't think to check closed businesses with a 2 in the title as a base of operations? He's had 6 months! World's greatest detective, my ass! The Wild Deuce!
Well, this is awkward. How do we get him back?
I'm on it.
Yes. Well, let's just carry on then, shall we? On the way back to his headquarters, Dent has a change of heart about Grace. He calls her and says that he wants to see her. Grace agrees, but activates the beeper she was given by Candace. You know, I'd like to take a moment to delve into the psychology of Grace's actions here, which takes us back to her childhood.
Oh, someone kill me, please.
Now, I'm not saying you have to like it, but if you don't go finish the episode, I will snap your spine in 2. Hey, look at that! Another 2 reference!
You know, if I didn't enjoy the ability to walk so much, I'd be out of here.
And that takes us into her adolescence, which will undoubtedly help set up some of the emotional foundations for Grace as an adult.
Oh, Batsy, where are you? I surrender.
I'm back.
Never mind, Bats. Kill you later.
Don't worry, we won't have any more issues from this one.
But I was just getting into the interesting part of my dissertation.
Grace is brought to the Wild Deuce, where Harvey greets her while hiding the scarred half of his face. She says that she loves him and he doesn't need to hide from her, pulling the mask off. It seems like she's getting through to him when Rupert Thorn shows up with his thugs, having tracked Grace through the beeper. Thorn greets Harvey as follows.
Last we meet, face to face to face.
Thorn threatens to hurt Grace if Dent doesn't give him the file he stole. Dent gives him the file, and of course Thorn tells his goons to kill Grace and Dent, but Batman arrives just in time, which is actually pretty lousy timing considering how long he had the matchbook with the business logo on it. Dent had time to drive to the club, send the twins to Grace's, call Grace, have the twins bring Grace to the club, have his reunion with her, then have the reunion interrupted by Thorn and then almost be murdered by Thorn before Batman showed up. I mean, they do try to, make it seem like Batman is pretty injured, resulting in him moving slowly, but still!
I told you he was useless here.
Batman and Two-Face take on Thorn and his thugs. During the fight, Candace goes to hit Two-Face from behind when Grace represents. Two-Face gets a hold of a Tommy gun and is about to kill Thorn when Grace and Batman try to stop him. Two-Face flips his coin to decide if Thorn lives or dies, but before the coin lands, Batman does this. Dent completely loses it, having a breakdown over his inability to make a decision without the coin. Grace, the true hero of the episode, kneels down beside him to let him know that she's there for him. What does that sound? Are you crying?
What? Just because a man is an expert in fear doesn't mean he can't appreciate true love when he sees it.
Oh, dang it. You know I'm a sympathetic crier.
What a couple of wackos.
The episode ends with Thorn, Candace, and Thorn's thugs being arrested, while Harvey is presumably being taken to Arkham Asylum. Commissioner Gordon asks Batman if he thinks there's any hope for Dent, to which Batman responds,
Where there's love, there's hope, Commissioner.
Batman then makes his way over to a coin fountain and adds this little addendum to his positive statement.
But a little luck wouldn't hurt.
This episode was a solid follow-up to Part 1 with some truly striking visuals throughout, showing us how Harvey now lives in two worlds. I do think Batman was pretty lousy in this episode, but considering the focus should be on Harvey and Grace anyway, I think it works. What didn't work for me was the overuse of the number 2. We get it. His name is Two-Face. What did you think?
Well,
I mean, what did you think?
Oh, all right. I'll give you this one, Bane.
Well, not as good as Part 1, this episode does succeed in giving Batman another tortured soul in his band of villains. They created a character that you care about and would want to be best friends with if they had the cell next to you in Arkham. The coin is wrong about us, Two-Face. We have plenty of things in common. Anyway, 2 times 2 out of 5.
Join us next time when we'll be taking a short break from Batman the Animated Series to review the recent animated films, Batman the Long Halloween Parts 1 and 2. Till next time, kiddies!
You threatened to snap his spine and he actually bought that?
Yeah, you're not tall enough to make that happen. What was your plan if he didn't go along with it?
I would have just punched him in the junk.
Not
You're
the business.
sick!
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when more Batman the Animated Recap episodes go up. And we've got some other cool nostalgic shows on the channel, so stick around. You might find something else that you like.